Prime Minister Meles Zenawi. What's your view on a potential United Nations Security Council resolution imposing sanctions on Eritrea? What's your view on a potential United Nations Security Council resolution?
Udi la فرنج وقيايو سال لا فرنج خلعواتنا 48 ساعات ليش عيا بإذن الله قرطتنا حنحفاينا celebration قبرواتا total victory يون نيسالومي إلى البلالنا.
Accused by its neighbors of instigating instability in the region, including support for terrorist groups in Somalia and a plot to bomb a summit of the AU in Ethiopia in January.
We are asking the Security Council to help us stop this lawlessness, because as it is, the Horn of Africa is a very fragile region, because in the absence of the rule of law, in the absence of action by the Security Council, implication would be that we are all on our own and that we have to defend ourselves or perish. That is not a choice we want to make.
The United States is pleased with the adoption today of Resolution 2023, imposing additional sanctions on Eritrea for its failure to comply with its obligations under previous Security Council resolutions, including 1907, passed 2 years ago this month.
The attempt to destabilize Eritrea has been going on for a long time. There was a point in time when many in the US administration were openly calling for regime change in Eritrea. The pressure on Eritrea continues. There are sanctions that have been imposed on Eritrea. There have been attempts to frame up Eritrea in Geneva at the Human Rights Council. So there are a lot of attempts in that direction.
We must be very clear on this. The border conflict was just a pretext. The Prime Minister of Ethiopia had said it on many occasions. He has passed away since, but his name is Meles Zenawi. He made his objective very clear, that the objective is regime change. We have to change the government. They arm proxy contra groups and conduct low-intensity conflict, even though, as I pointed out earlier, the border issue was supposed to have been resolved by the Independent Arbitration Court at The Hague. So they refused to accept that. The international community, if there is anything called international community, but largely the US gives a blind eye to that, tacit support. WikiLeaks documents clearly expose this, that conversations between US government officials such as Susan Rice and Ethiopian government officials, if you examine all those documents, thanks to Julian Assange and his comrades who have exposed this secrets.
It's all in there. It's in all in all the cables.
I was going to come to
it's all in the cables, you know, everything that they accused us of, and how they masterminded this work between IGAD and how to get an African face for initiative against Eritrea was all this between the US and Ethiopian engineered sanction, which is really sad.
Do you see any evidence, for example, of Eritrea supporting al-Shabaab at this time?
It did not come up, and I have seen no evidence of Eritrea supporting al-Shabaab, no.
I mean, as a UN person, what's the rationale for the sanctions? What's the rationale for the sanctions? What's the rationale for the sanctions? What's the rationale for the sanctions?
The Somalia-Eritrea Monitoring Group has concluded that, I quote, it has found no evidence of Eritrea's support to Al-Shabaab in Somalia. Since the two justifications for the imposition of the unjust sanction against Eritrea are non-existent, the correct, logical, and legal action should have been for the UN Security Council to immediately and unconditionally lift the unjust sanction against Eritrea and terminate the mandate of the Somalia-Eritrea Monitoring Group concerning the part of Eritrea. Any other pretext is unacceptable. It is a political agenda.
As an aggrieved party which has stood for 9 long years on the receiving end of the miscarriage of justice, Eritrea cannot and will not plead for clemency or magnanimity. The people and government of Eritrea will continue to stand for their rights until justice is achieved and wrongs meted to them are redressed. In the past six decades, the Eritrean people have waged long and difficult struggle to advance the cause of justice and to foster a climate that is conducive for mutual security and stability in the region. Those robust convictions and legacy have indeed enabled them to withstand all the wrongs and scars inculcated by unfair sanctions. Through characteristic resilience and hard toil, they have now vanquished the injustices perpetrated on them. In conclusion, as I stressed earlier, the people of Eritrea have not committed a crime or transgression that impels them to seek clemency. As such, they are not only calling for the immediate rescinding of the sanctions, but they are also asking and deserve amends for the damages incurred and the opportunities forfeited.
ካልእ ምናልባት ብዙሕ ክዛረበሉ ኣይደሊነ ተጻብኦ ከምዝሎ ገዳሎ ማዕቀብ ኣሎ ከምዝ ብዙሕ ሰብ ኮሚል ይዛረብ ኣነ ኣብ እምሮ ናይ ካልኦት ዘሎ ጭንቀት ክንፍውስ ግዜና ክነጥፍእ ይግባአና جهونا كم زد أمثلة حساسيات كنكون يمنان مجراه بحال يلن تزنجعات تدهلللو مخنيات يلن بأكات جبر حاجن مجدي نهري تبجيسكا جعزوها أفت مجدي خونك إلى اللومبر كاو النات عليها بشكو شكوا نحد خط قايق نتحد خط الرم كم مسمر كم موسى سلزيد اللي بوزحت الزبال بوزحت الزرب كل أكايد أنا نبزد بلود اللي خطرايته أنا زبالة سيد أبزي لومي مسكلة تراحبنا مسكم يوم لا مسؤول حلفت تراحبنا انتهي لكم يسكف تسب قدر الله مول علولنا فريهنا لنا يبلنا يعمل بنفسخ أن تزرزر خيد سلود الله تحسد جزية طري عقل طري ده اللي تسبيخا ده اللي قلت وانا نقر
The Security Council will now begin its consideration of item 2 of the agenda. Members of the Council have before them document S/2018-1010, the text of a draft resolution submitted by the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. I wish to draw the attention of the Council members to document S/2018 of 1002, a letter dated 7th November 2018 from the chair of the Security Council Committee pursuant to Resolution 751 of 1992 and 1907 of 2009 concerning Somalia and Eritrea, addressed to the President of the Security Council. The Council is ready to proceed to the vote on the draft resolution before it. I shall put the draft resolution to the vote now. Will those in favor of the draft resolution contained in document S/2018 1010, please raise their hand. The result of the voting as follows. The draft resolution received 15 votes in favor. The draft resolution has been adopted unanimously as Resolution 2444 of 2018.
First of all, we would like to congratulate Eritrea and the leadership with the lifting of the sanctions in the Security Council. We have long time said that the restrictions against this country are unrealistic. The proof of this is that over the years, no significant change was made by the sanctions in the region.
I'd like to thank Council members for their unanimous support for this resolution. It lifts sanctions on Eritrea. It sets out the Council's continued support for efforts to improve peace and security in Somalia. The agreement to lift sanctions on Eritrea recognises the improvements in regional peace and security and the positive steps Eritrea has taken.
For the past 9 years, the delegation of Eritrea has been addressing this chamber, seeking an end of the unwarranted punitive measures imposed on the people of Eritrea. The long overdue call for justice is finally answered with unanimous decision of the Council. The lifting of the sanction will mark an end of a difficult period for Eritrea and the region. The actions and inactions of the Council have had harmful consequences to the people of Eritrea and the whole of Africa. It entailed 2 decades of missed opportunity for peace and socio-economic progress. On this historic day, I'm humbled to congratulate the people of Eritrea, who have endured persistent external pressure that aim to taint their heroic history and rewrite their vision for durable peace and economic progress in the whole of Africa. Eritreans will not look backwards and are not resentful. While mindful of the historical lessons of the past 2 decades, they are determined to create a peaceful and prosperous nation that is worthy of the sacrifice made for over 7 decades to build a harmonious, peaceful, and confident country. To conclude, Mr. President, by thanking all those who have advocated and supported for the lifting of the sanction. I would also like to thank Kazakhstan as chair and UK as pen holder for the constructive engagement they had with my delegation. I thank you.
والشكر مكرا كنت مريت نبرا التغبا حمرا
Game over.
أنت شمري حيال قدنخا درع سبري فتاو حق هاي فتاو معري فتاو حقي هاي فتاو معري